Hi, this is Stephen with Affairs Management Interactive, also known as Affairs MI, and today's lesson is on layer controls. Now, layers are a great way to manage the different categories of objects to be positioned on the fairground or in the exhibit hall. And because individual layers can be set to be visible or hidden, it can be a real advantage when working on more complex layouts, or for simply printing out various versions of a plan, where one set of combined layers or objects is for an event coordinator, what we normally see on an event plan, while another combination are the objects maybe a groundskeeper would need for placement locations. And other combinations of layers could be for an electrician or a fire marshal. But let's just get started and take a look at the pod controls itself. I'm sorry, the layer controls itself. So we click on this little square on the end. That's where the layer comes up, and you can see for a fresh map, a new file, it comes up with just the background and an untitled layer in the back or on top. So this is the way we normally would start, and if we don't expect too complex of a layout, we would just go ahead and start doing our layouts in this untitled layer, no problem. But let's look at a different set of layers, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. So now you see we have picnic tables and tents and barrier lines, and here's some advertising banners and booths and lots of stuff. And so when we click on our layer control here, you'll see that we've got them divided up. So if we look at these controls, the first thing we'll see is there's lock and unlock. And when a layer is locked, it means if you click on it, it's not accessible. And so this is an advantage if you have a complex layout to isolate certain objects from accidentally clicking on or moving things around accidentally. The next control are these check marks, which are for visibility. So if I uncheck the picnic tables, you'll see that they go on and off that way. And now if we uncheck the booth layer, you'll see I still have a lot of different stuff on there besides booths. So I click that. So if I wanted to go ahead, let's look at these advertising banners, and I wanted to go ahead and put them on a different layer. What I would do first is to create a new a new layer, and by hitting that plus sign, I would double click it to relabel it, and I'm going to go ahead and relabel it as a add banners. Just hit rename. The next step is to pick these out. Whoops, I've got look at here. So this is a good example of what happens. So the booth layers is locked, and I can't click on them to move them over. So I'm glad I did this. This is a good example. You might encounter the same thing. So I'm going to unlock it. Now I can grab it, and if I hit the shift key down, I can grab several at once. Or if it's convenient to reach over with the mouse, I can grab all of them at once. So the next thing I see now that the move to another layer control, move selection, is right here. It's active now. So I can click on that, choose add banners for the layer I want, and I can check to make sure that it did that by turning the visibility on and off for add banners. And there you go. Now, the next thing you might want to use is the duplicate layers. So let's say you have a complex layout of booths, but you want to try an alternative where you change it just a little bit. So what you might do is you might go to booths, and that's highlighted, and I'm going to go ahead and say duplicate. See, it says it untitled, but I'm going to say booth layers 2. And I'm going to rename it. So now if I turn off the original booths, I'm going to lock it and turn it off. I'm going to double check to make sure my booth layers 2 is, try it uncheck to make sure, yep, it's there. So now I can go in here on this duplicate layer and try placing some things in different spots. without losing my original layout that I was satisfied with, and just wanted to experiment with making some slight changes. And then I can choose from the duplicate or the original which one I want to keep. And other than that, I mean, there is the delete. So if I wanted to completely delete this layer, I would go ahead and hit the trash can. Now I'll go ahead and turn my original boost layer on, and there you have it. Now, one more thing to mention is the priority placement of the layer. In some cases, your pods or groups of objects kind of overlap each other. And so the computer program gets a little confused when you're trying to pick an individual object as to which pod you're trying to use to pick from. So if you put whatever you want to work with at the top and you lock everything else, it makes it very easy just to go ahead and work on that one section and do that. Now, what else can we use layers for? Well, we can use layers to create utility maps where each layer represents a specific utility like water, electric, etc. And there's other ways that you can use the layers too. But I think that's enough for the beginning lesson. And please don't hesitate to call or write with your questions. Thanks so much.